Can you really believe that the God of the Bible actually condones human sacrifice? Not only does God condone human sacrifice, God asks for human sacrifice. Hold on, not so fast. Let's talk about this. Hello, I'm Methodist Dave. I'm a professional theologian and Bible teacher. And today our subject is Genesis chapter 22. Abraham is commanded to offer up his son Isaac as a human sacrifice. That's right. God does command Abraham to take his son, his one and only son, the son that he has waited for decades. And he says, take him to a place that I will show you in the mountains of Moriah, and I will show you where to go, and I want you to give him as a human sacrifice. Now, we've seen Abraham doesn't exactly exhibit a lot of faith throughout his life. Most notably, he often passes his wife off as his sister because he's afraid that somebody's going to kill him and take her. And then he's doubtful of God's promise. So he and his wife conspire to go around the natural order, and that he'll father a child through a slave woman and named Hagar, and this will be the child of the promise. And God says, no, you're going to have a true child. And then when Abraham sends Hagar and Ishmael off into the wilderness, he doesn't give them enough food and water. He literally sends them out to die in the desert. Not very faithful man here, not a very good person here. But Abraham has been a work in progress. And when we look at the heroes of the Bible, so many of them are filled with flaws, and not just minor flaws, major flaws. God still uses them. God can still take an imperfect person and use them for his purpose. Abraham has been falling flat in faith for a long time, but finally he has a child. Now, we're not told how old Isaac was when God gives this command. A lot of scholars, and myself included, do not believe that Isaac is a little boy at this time. There is a general consensus, and this is because of the parallelism with Christ, that it's highly likely that Isaac may have been 30, 33 years old. He may have been a grown man at this time, because Abraham is supposed to take his son, so he takes fire, a knife, wood, along with a couple servants, and they travel several days to this place, the mountains of Moriah. Mount Moriah is located near Jerusalem, long believed to be the site of the temple. So it is believed that the place where Abraham is going is either the site of the temple, or even theoretically, and I believe this strongly, that the very hill that Abraham goes to in the mountains of Moriah, in that area of Moriah, is a place called Golgotha, later in history. The very hill that Jesus was crucified on is the very place that Abraham takes Isaac. That's not doctrinal, that's not necessarily biblical, that just happened to be opinion. An opinion. They travel, and when they get to the location, Abraham tells the servants, you guys stay here. And he takes the wood for the fire and he puts it on Isaac's back. So they climb up this hill, and Abraham has the fire, he has the knife, and Isaac is carrying the wood up the hill. And Isaac is voluntarily going up the hill carrying this wood. And they get to the place, and they make an altar out of stones. They would pile up the stones. Isaac asks a poignant question. Father, here is the fire, here is the wood, here is the knife, but where is the sacrifice? God himself will provide a lamb for the sacrifice, Abraham says. And he takes Isaac and he binds him and lays him down on the altar and prepares to slaughter his own child. This child that if Isaac is 30, Abraham has waited. This is 60 years of patience in Abraham's life. He come to this point, and now it's all going to be thrown away. We're told Abraham's state of mind in the New Testament book of Hebrews, chapter 11, where it says that by faith Abraham offered up his son Isaac, and knowing that God had promised generations through his son Isaac, that Abraham believed that God would bring Isaac back from the dead. So Isaac is working completely in faith here, that he's willing to put his son on the altar and kill him, and that God would have to bring him back to life. This is a lot of faith. And God does not allow Abraham to go through the motions. God says, stop, through an angel. And then look and see. And Abraham looks, and there's a ram caught in the thicket. So he gets his son off the altar, and then they actually sacrifice this animal that God himself has provided. Parallels when you think that this is really the place where Jesus was crucified, that God did not allow Abraham to offer his son, but God would provide a substitute. And thousands of years later, that God would offer his son as a substitute for all of us. So you see the parallels between Isaac and Christ, both 33 years old, both willingly go to the place of sacrifice, both carry the wood. I find the parallels incredible. Why did God ask Abraham to do that? Did God really want a sacrifice? No. I have faith in God. How can I prove that my faith in God is true? By demonstrating it to other people that I believe, that I have confidence. It is the mere fact that Abraham was willing to go through with this sacrifice that demonstrated to all people that finally he had achieved a place of confident faith in God, that he could trust God no matter what. It was always there in his heart, and it had finally matured, but there was only one way to demonstrate it, and that's to physically demonstrate it to other people by showing that he was willing to put his money where his mouth was, as we say, to put in demonstration that I'm willing to offer my son if that's what God wants. And God says, I know. And now everyone else sees. See, God always knew the content and condition of Abraham's heart. Only by his action can we know the content and condition of his heart. And sometimes God will ask you to do something hard. And maybe you'll have to go through with it. Or maybe God will rescue you out of it. But by being faithful, we can all live and walk in God's commands. If you have a question or want to know a little bit more about this subject or any other subject, drop me a line at methodistdave@gmail.com, and I'll try to answer your emails. Until the next time, you have a lovely day and be good to each other.